Are we still searching for diamonds in the rough, or are we just tapping into TikTok stars or people who have TikTok hits with motion already?
The world that we are in now, independent artists do not need their record labels to thrive, because independent artists that have big TikTok motion and stuff like that will get a licensing deal. They don't need a record label.
What if I told you that Afrobeat stars you dearly love and stream every day might not even own their music? Millions of streams, global playlists, viral hits, yet most artists earn less than 10% of the profits, and less than 3% control their masters. Behind the glamour, the fame, and the awards, there's a machine, a maze of stream farms, algorithmic hype, exploitative contracts, and deals even most artists don't fully understand. In this episode, we go inside the system. Contracts, A&Rs, TikTok virality, and a pipeline failing Africa's next generation of stars. From the Big Three to Rare Mars' rise as the so-called Big Four, we interrogate the myths, the metrics, and the money that's being made off creative genius, while the creators themselves often get left behind. We ask the questions nobody else dares. Is Afrobeats now being flattened to fit Western ears? Is the culture being sold before it even fully rises? Has data replaced instinct in A&R? And what does it take to survive, thrive, and actually own your work in this game? From label wahala to stream farming, from genre dilution to copy and paste soundscapes, this episode exposes the pressure cooker behind the hits. We explore why viral TikTok sensations are now the entry point for most record label signings, why artist development is now being sidelined, and how the next big star is often manufactured, not nurtured. We pull back the curtain on an industry obsessed with virality over artistry, clicks over craft, and metrics over mastery, and interrogate the roadblocks keeping Black creatives from fully owning the culture they're building. You might want to tune in for this one. Can We Talk starts now?
So welcome again, TEEJAY Ameen.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a pleasure to have you. I mean, I'll consider yourself as a polymath. You're a producer, director, brand strategist, A&R. I mean, the list could go on. So for someone who's not heard of TEEJAY Ameen, as popular as you are, having had very fantastic work in Nigeria and obviously here in the UK as well. For someone who's not heard of this, fantastic individual, how will you describe yourself?
Okay, I think that would be very brief if I was going to describe myself. I'll just say
Very brief. Give us a condensed version.
very brief. I would say that my name is TJ Amin, of course, but that's not my real name. My full name is Olatunji Yusuf Amin.
Oh, right, okay.
But like TJ is the name that everyone has called me since I was born. Even my dad and my mom is TJ. So I said, why not make a brand out of it?
Of course.
So, TJ Amin is an A&R and broadcast journal. And also an advocate for persons living albinism. I decided to add that because it's very important, So yes, I'm an A&R and broadcast journal, and I'm also a media executive. So that captures all the other things.
Of course, yeah. Which obviously we'll get into as we expand this conversation.
Yes.
Again, congrats on your documentary. I think I saw a documentary and I think it's very powerful and also very inspirational. I personally, drew inspiration from the things, from the subject matter that you discussed and also the individuals that you spotlighted. How they've chronicled their journey. From all the trials and tribulation and how they've overcome it. I think that's very inspirational. So what inspired you to to work on that documentary? What was the impetus? Like what brought that idea to yourself?
So Black creatives are winning. The idea came off. So it was in 2023. I was doing my masters in media and creative cultures.
Yeah.
And from the moment I stepped into this country, the first thing that came to my mind, the first thing I always told myself was, I'm not trying to fit in. I'm trying to stand out. I'm
Talk
trying to
about it.
tell authentic stories. I'm trying to rep where I come from. So I knew that everything, and because of the course I did for my masters, he gave me an opportunity to explore.
What course is this?
It was media and creative cultures.
Oh, brilliant.
Media and creative cultures. So,
Brilliant.
and I read up on what the course entails. I said, yeah, this is a perfect opportunity to express myself. So from the beginning, I said to myself, TJ, you're going to go out there and show people how we roll back home. You're not trying to show them or fit in. They already know what they know.
Of course.
But they don't know what I know.
Of course, of course,
Yeah,
of
so
course.
that's always been on my mind. So when I came in, when I started my masters, I was doing my first project. I was just delving into more Afrocentric themes, talking about the talking drum as a means of communication.
Oh, wow.
Things that they didn't know.
Yeah.
So I also now found out as the journey went on, because I come from, obviously we come from Nigeria, and in Nigeria, like, your blackness is not something that is being spotted.
Of course, of course.
You
I mean,
get-
to be fair, I mean, like just like you rightly said, you
Yeah.
never really see yourself as a black person
You don't.
in that kind of environment.
you don't.
You know, as opposed to being
No,
in an
you don't.
environment like multinational, multi-ethnic,
very
and
diverse
diverse environment. That's when it's really like highlighted that
Instructing you that,
exactly.
yes, I belong to, like,
Yeah.
so you now start understanding that I belong to a certain sect. You understand, like,
Mm.
you get, so that reality prompted black creatives that went winning, because
Mm.
for me, I was like, yes, representation. I came with the mindset that I'm just coming as a young boy from Nigeria trying to
Yeah.
rep the culture, but I found that there are bigger issues. You understand? There are bigger issues are like, black people face a lot. Black people
Of course,
generally,
yeah.
and black people in general need this. So I said, let me extend the grace I've extended to you, to that. So that's how black creatives came. And for my next project, I said, instead of taking it back to Nigeria, Africa, let me talk about what's more relatable to them here.
Yeah.
You understand? And for me, I've read up on how it is for black, and I was fortunate to be in some communities, some black, ethnic minority, black Asian minority ethnic groups and creative communities.
Of course.
And I found out that yes, representation was an issue that it's still an issue that
Absolutely,
black
yeah.
creatives are battling with.
Yeah.
But the thing that they would not tell you is that there are some black creatives that are still doing amazing.
Okay,
regardless.
so I'm just gonna just put a pin on that.
Yeah.
Just to expand on this conversation on black creatives winning, because I feel like there could be someone who's listening out there who is a black creative, an aspiring creative, and who feels like this is not necessarily my reality. Just this tag or this conception or this idea of black creatives are winning. Someone somewhere could feel like that's not my reality. I'm struggling. You
Yeah.
understand? This is, towing this path of, creating a career in the creative sector is not necessarily, I don't think I'm winning. It seems like there are a lot of odds stacked against me. And amongst those odds, I'm just going to reel out a few. Only 3% of Afrobeat artists control their masters, and this is a challenge that most people face. I've got a few more. About 70% of African artists lack access to formal, artist development. That's another big problem. Again, coming from like a revenue perspective, revenue from African streams is a fraction of the global, average. Spotify, pays about $0.003 dollars to 0.05 per stream globally. In Africa, it's just about 0.001, per stream. That's a Nigerian artist, who has like 1 million streams on Spotify, could make barely $800 dollars to about 1,000. I think even Burna Boy talked about this, and a few others have talked about this recently. So I mean, I could go on and on. There are a lot of odds stacked, against or on the path of an average black creative. So would you really say black creatives are winning?
So look at the documentary as some form of advocacy. So as much as if for people that are going to watch this after, I would say that construct was, yes, there are black creatives that are winning, but there are still issues. You understand? So these black creatives that we spoke to in the documentary, they also highlighted and identified those issues.
Of course.
And they also discussed what they feel could be done to get more people up to that ladder.
Of course.
So this is not to sell a lie. This is not to erase the truth. This is a conversation about, yes, the odds are stacked up against us, but we are still doing it. Yes, is there more that we can do? Of course. There will always be more. But let us celebrate ourselves. So it's celebrating. As much as things are bad, doesn't mean that we should not still celebrate what, the people that are actually making these efforts. And in the documentary, there are conversations about what have you done with your platform to see that more people you kick the door open for more people. And, those valid conversations. So if someone watches the documentary, they are thinking, okay, there's something there. It's not... So as a storyteller, I definitely want to get your attention. So
of course,
you see black
of course.
Which I think let me check it out.
Which I think is brilliant, at the same time somewhat controversial, because like I said,
of course, that's the idea.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, again, I think it's about perspective, because again, irrespective of all the challenges, on the way of an average creative, an average artist, they're on their their ascension to the top. There are a lot of, hurdles and obstacles that they have to, surmount, which would present a lot of difficulties, and they would be like, I'm not necessarily winning. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, you having overcome all of these challenges, despite lack of infrastructure and all of this, you still thrive, which, could be seen as a win. A win is a win at the end of the day.
A win is subjective.
Exactly, absolutely subjective. So again, just expanding that again, in 2024, a survey by Music in Africa found that 7 in 10 independent artists across Africa have no access to structured A&R support. You're an A&R person. You've been there, done that. You've worked with a host of artists that you've worked with in the past, and you've supported their careers. Can you just shed some light on your journey with supporting artists from an A&R perspective? Like a few artists you've worked with.
Okay, so we are going to break it down again to supporting independent artists or supporting artists that already have some sort of structure, because structure is subjective in Nigeria too. When it comes to like talent, you get like it can be a situation where there's a whole label, or you're just providing label services for an artist.
Of course.
Or it can be a situation where this artist is just an independent artist. All you can see is the artist's talent and potential. But there's no backing, there's no funding, there's nothing, there's no support. So depends. Yes, that's a strong reality. Yes. A lot of artists, let's take it to independent artists, lack A&R support, you understand? And this has contributed to how, I would not necessarily say to the quality of their branding in general, how they are being seen in the world, how they appear in the space.
Of course.
So that's not a lie. That's not a lie. So what my take is on that is, not everybody's going to have access to an A&R, and that's the truth. You understand? It's
so
the reality.
So before we even expand on that, right? For the average person, I don't know if too many people even know what an A&R is or what an A&R does. So just for clarity purpose, can you just even like explain what's an A&R, what does an A&R do, and what's the significance of A&R in the ecosystem of creatives and artist development?
Amazing. So an A&R is, simply put, an A&R can be in like two forms. First off, is it, like, I'll call them talent scouts. They will liaise with the talents and a label. So an A&R is going out there to go and look for talents. Some people strictly stick to that part of being an A&R. What they do is they work for big labels. They go out, they identify talents. They bring them back. You understand? They make sure that they manage the communication between the label, and the artist. An A&R can also work for a publishing company. So they also help that talent find deals. Help them. It's more of placements. So that's what they're dedicated to. They are now A&Rs that they work on the side of the artists themselves. And their own primary responsibility is making sure that from pre-production, production, post-pro, overall branding, they are there with the artist. An A&R is not your day-to-day manager.
Okay, because I was going to ask, what's the difference between, what you've just described now and an artist manager?
No, an A&R is not your day-to-day manager. In Nigeria, where we come from, A&R managers, they call them A&R managers. They have merged it together.
All right.
But it's not the reality where we are. You understand? In the national world, an A&R is not your day-to-day manager. Your day-to-day manager is responsible for your day-to-day needs. An A&R is I would even say that in a proper structure, the manager answers to the A&R that they are working with, or they work hand in hand.
Okay.
You get? So an A&R is making sure that for everything that DG's brand represents, you understand? We make sure that we are following the script, you understand?
Of course.
They're responsible for how you are being seen. So even when it comes to your style, the color themes that your brand represents, font styles, everything, they do the whole mock-up. Even studio sessions, they are there too, because they understand this. And obviously, they're your mouthpiece out there.
Of course.
They're the ones telling them, you need to check out this guy. They are putting you in rooms. There's a fashion show that you need to be at. They're making sure you're there, you understand? The overall branding and imagery when it comes to like PR, they are making sure that the conversation is going on right about you. So they're responsible for your overall, brand identity. Other than, but now, A&Rs double as managers, so that's why, that
so we're coming to times now where it seems like many things. I mean, it's a reality across several industries and sectors. Data is a very key determiner of many decisions that happen in virtually every industry now, and I think it's also very relevant in the entertainment industry, particularly music, right? And it's like now, I mean, in most recent times, it feels like you have to have been popping or you have to have motion before you get scouted by an A&R before you get scouted by a label.
Sure.
And ideally, the place or the role of an A&R is artist development. So how can an average artist or aspiring artist, navigate this complexity of I need an A&R or I need to get signed, but at the same time, before I can get an A&R or I can get signed, I need to have motion. I need to have like a TikTok hit. So are we still doing artist development? And what can an aspiring artist, how can they find their way around this very complex maze, in terms of, them trying to blow?
You can do big things from a small place. I think that's something that a lot of independent artists have not tapped into. I'll just cite one example, and might not be the only person that is doing it.
Okay.
But if you look back at the history of how Don Jazzy signed Arasta, he found out on Instagram.
I think many of the artists signed to Maven, I think that's the same model.
It means that the people that are looking are looking. Yeah. It doesn't have to happen in a grand style that they meet you, maybe an A&R scout show at maybe like a showcase.
Yeah.
The digital age has bridged the gap, has created access that you would have never gotten back in the days. Where is Don Jazzy going to see you? You understand? Like, we signed you back in the days, in these Mo Hits days.
Yeah.
You get what
Of
I'm
course.
trying to say?
Yeah.
It would have been the way that you think it would be, that, you have to know someone to know someone, you have to have motion.
Yeah.
But now, these days, all you just need is that consistency, that zeal, that hunger, and the raw talent. Those that see it. The sole work of an A&R is to see potential from even... You see a gem in the rough.
Yeah.
You understand? That's what we do. Okay, you might not be seeing what I'm seeing, but I'm seeing it.
Are A&Rs or record labels, are they still looking for gems in the rough? Or are they mostly, aligning with people who already have motion or who already have money or some kind of funding behind, their movements? Are we still searching for diamonds in the rough, or are we just tapping into TikTok stars or people who have TikTok hits with motion already?
So you talked about record labels and people that have backing. So now the world that we are in now, independent artists do not really need record labels to thrive.
Talk about that.
Yeah, they don't need record labels now, because independent artists that have big TikTok motion and stuff like that will get a licensing deal. They don't need a record label. They will get funding to put their music out. You understand?
So does this not beg the question of artist development? Because I feel like we've got a lot of hot artists, but not necessarily, sustainable, viable, proper artists. So it's like, now, who's really an artist? What does he mean to be like an established artist? 'Cause I feel like these days, right, and I think it's a problem now where someone gets like a TikTok hit or like a runaway hit, bam, they're out there, get a licensing deal, they're hot or whatever, but they cannot replicate it. They cannot make a sustainable career.
Of course.
So do you still think artist development is a very... Because again, you mentioned now that you don't necessarily or compulsorily need a record label.
A record label.
So what's the model now that you prescribe as an ideal model for an artist trying to nurture a sustainable, career?
Oh, there are still A&Rs that work with independent artists. I've worked with independent artists in the past. Yeah.
All right.
There's still. You can always put together a team. You understand? If you don't, obviously you're an independent artist. You have a vision for your brand.
Yeah.
You find people that are in sync with you. Put together a team. You know the necessary things you need. First thing, you need label services because you're not signed to a label. You need to work with a team that can actually create a structure for label services. What are record labels doing? You understand? How can we replicate this but on a smaller scale, where we can meet you where you are? You understand? So I think the answer to this question is, as an artist, it goes beyond being an artist. You need to educate yourself.
What kind of education do we need?
You need to read up. You need to find out how it happens in the world. You cannot say, that's not my job.
Yeah.
You can't say, my own work is just to produce music. No. My own work is I'm just the talent. No, that's a lazy way of thinking. I'm not asking you to be a pro in it, but you need to know a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
It will give you direction. This just randomly came to my mind, but shout out to Zlatan Ibile. I've been fortunate to see his journey from when he was signed to now what he's doing with his brand now as an independent artist. And I can tell you that the work rate is up there.
Of course.
That's because he has taken it upon himself to actually find out how it's being done.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate to see. I've been fortunate to see the people on his team.
Yeah.
He knows the game. You understand? And if he does not know it 101%, he has
He
people
has
by his
studied.
side.
He has understudied a lot of people. who have done
Understudied
it
a lot of
right.
people,
Yeah.
and he understands the importance of having a solid team. I'm not talking about a large team. It doesn't. You just know that you have a solid team. You know what everybody's on, what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
You know the importance of everyone's role. Man, you're going to go far. So I think artists need to educate themselves. You know, it's lazy talk to say I'm just a talent.
Yeah.
Because the truth is nobody can love your work, or nobody can push your work more than you, the artist. Nobody. Everybody's out here chasing paper. You understand? As much as they try to, everybody's going to try to give you the best and provide value. Nobody's going to love what you do more than you.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
good, very, 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 very brilliant perspective. Now, I'm just gonna, because you mentioned something and just, remind me of thoughts
Yeah.
in my head now. We're in recent time. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's almost like a long-standing issue,
Yeah.
in the industry where, an artist gets signed, or maybe like a major, or has like a management or some kind of like deal with a more viable partner, and they get into like some kind of business relationship. They put out maybe like the first EP or a couple of records. It takes off, the artist blows up. There's probably there's no clear cut understanding of what the contractual details are. Then eventually, yawa gas, there's a problem.
Yeah.
And things, these things happen. What would you say is driving this particular, complexities where people get signed? And there's a few record labels that come to mind, but I mean, there's not necessarily, highlighting this,
Yeah.
particular, examples. But there's this long-standing issue that, a lot of artists and labels have, where it's like a lot of labels or even financiers or people who fund artists now, I feel like, I don't even want to do that anymore. Artists are ungrateful, and artists are also saying, oh, they deceived me, or what's really driving this brouhaha that we're always having between artists and labels, or artists and those who are funding them? What's the underlying issue?
The underlying issue for me is human beings are just human beings. There's no how you want to put it. People will always go for what is in their best interest. The problem with these relationships are people think that it must only work for me, it must not work for you. So, like I always say, no record label or no business partner
Yeah,
came to Countbridge. Nobody's running a charity organization.
of course.
So whenever you go into an agreement, go with the mindset that these guys have something to gain. You just need to find out exactly what are the details of what they are benefiting from this. Yes, they love
Yeah.
your talent. They'll tell you, oh, we are the next big thing after sliced bread. We are everything. But always remember that they're investing money. It's a business. No matter how you word it, it's a business. Yes, did they persuade you? Of course, because they saw something that you were not seeing.
Yeah.
And they saw that it was a viable means of income.
Of course.
The entertainment game is not a charity organization. It's not a charity space.
I think that has to be emphasized.
It is not.
Yeah.
People are the same way people go into finance and medicine. That's the same way investors go into the space to make money.
Yeah.
So when you are signing anything, you need to understand that these guys are going to make their money back and more. You get?
I think that's that and more part. I think that's really the, I think that's
And
where
more.
the bone of contention is.
Because yes, they have to. They have to and more, because it's an investment at the end of the day.
Of course.
They need to recoup.
Yeah.
You get? Now you look at it from the perspective of they are recouping. What they are recouping is tangible, right? Money.
Of course.
What are the intangible things that just getting into the agreement has done for you as a talent? A lot of people forget that. Would I have known who TEEJAY AMEEN was if he was not signed to Mr. Macaroni Records?
Of course.
I would not have known him. Those things that they've done that have helped build the foundation for your brand.
Yeah.
They can't take it away from
But a lot
you.
of artists also feel like, if it was not for my talent, or if it was not for my, for my output, or if it was not for me showing workings, would the label also have also made money? That it's more like it's like a mutually beneficial arrangement. They didn't do me a favor, I did them a favor.
So this is not a favor conversation. This is a conversation where you've enjoyed the benefits of being signed to them, and you don't want them to benefit from them signing you.
Yeah.
So it's not a conversation of it's mutually beneficial, of course.
Ideally, yeah.
It's very easy when you are the one receiving all the benefits, but when it's time to give back, you start saying that you are being cheated, because at the end of the day there was a contract, there was an agreement.
Yeah.
And like we all say, we all mention it, we remind artists every time, you do not have the capacity to understand a contract. You are not a lawyer.
Yeah.
You understand? You look through it, you think it's just pure English. You need to consult a lawyer. You understand? There's no conversation about that. So you can, and when you're consulting a lawyer, two things can happen. The lawyer
Yeah.
can help you look at that conversation and say, look at the contract and say, this is okay, but this will be beneficial to you. They need to cut down this, cut down that.
Yeah.
You get, that's if they agree to it.
What are some key things that artists or their managers should highlight or should really zoom out on when they are reviewing a contract?
There are a lot. I'm not a lawyer, by the way, but I know there's always, you need to check out the sunset clause. Go and read up on that. I'm not going to do a breakdown. You need to check out the sunset. You need to check out your release clauses too. You need to check out how long you need to recoup. What are you recouping on? You need to percentage is like a very simple conversation. You can always know what, but like it's always like the release clause. Determination clause is to, check if there's a sunset clause there.
Yeah.
Those basic, that's what you would look at as an artist. But that's not what your lawyer is going to look at, you get. So even as an A&R, I would always still consult the services of a lawyer.
Yeah.
Because I know what I know. But like they would break it down. And in many cases, some lawyers will look at the contract and say, this is decent. This does not mean that you're not going to still feel the brunt of it. But if you have that mindset and you're very clear on what you're going into, you're not going to be having that conversation, because when they start recouping and when, the contract is going on, you would see it. You have a choice. See the contract to the end and say you don't want to renew it. Nobody's going to have any issue with you. But do not stop midway after you've benefited from the foundation they've built for you. And this is not to say I'm not supporting labels or that. That's why I'm saying you have to be very aware of what you are getting into.
Of course, yeah.
Because like I said, everyone is trying to. It's a shark world. It's a dog eat dog world, as Odumodu would say. It's a dog eat dog world. Everybody's trying to make it.
Yeah.
I would go into agreements and say, I'm very aware. Let me go PG now. I'm very aware. Say you won't chop me, but I would take it because I know what I stand to gain from
long
it.
term. Yeah.
Just always be very clear on what you are getting into. I think that's the conversation here. So there's no. It's just human beings being human beings. If you think about it, because I've seen recent, contractual fights and all of that, and I'm like, you cannot tell me that this person was trying to cheat you, because I'm not working with the label, but I can clearly see what they have done for you.
Yeah, we know where you
were.
started, and we know who you are.
We know what. So you cannot say that they are trying to exploit you, because I don't call that exploitation. I call it someone invested money in something and he's trying to make his money back.
Of course.
I give you a simple example.
Yes, please.
No disrespect to the artists involved, but I'm going to mention it. When I look at the Dapper music situation and Charlie Poppy situation,
I didn't want to mention that one,
but
that's why I said there are a few examples. But carry on, please.
But because this is just my opinion, by the way. But when I look at that situation, I'm like, I read the press release that Charlie Poppy put out, and I was talking about how money was being siphoned from one arm to one arm, and it's still the same company.
Yeah.
If I had a label or if I had a company, and I can actually create subsidiaries of that same company that is providing the service, why would I take it outside?
You might as well keep everything,
Why would I take it outside?
Yeah.
That's the best way to make money. See, it's common sense, You can't call that theft, because it was clearly there that so Dapper has different subsidiaries. There's Dapper Life, there's Dapper
distribution.
That's a smart business move. That's someone that is way ahead of the game.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Of course.
So I can't hit on the brother's grind. And you are clearly seeing your money is moving for one. Yes, they are going to still charge you for the same amount they are going to charge that service. The thing is, did they deliver on that?
I think you've highlighted what's key here. I think it's very important for artists to get education. Because I feel like a lot of artists just want to focus on just give me the beats. Let me do my thing.
It's not possible.
But I think the like you say, for music business is 80%. The artistry and all of that is remaining 20. The key things there is the business. But I feel like not a lot, and I guess that's why that's what I wanted to highlight in this conversation.
Yeah.
Making more people more knowledgeable, more educated about what happens behind the scenes and how these things work. And I think you being an A&R, push you, or you working in that environment, push you in the best light to shed light on that conversation.
Yes,
so we can just still on this same topic now. There are a lot of A&Rs, music journalists and critics saying it's like we are not creating more stars, we are not creating more big stars. For like almost about 12, 15 years now, we've had the same big guys who will call the traditional big three.
Sure.
And now there's a new artist now who is laying claim to, is now
The
big
big
four,
four
no more big
conversation.
three. And I think personally, I think again, I don't know, I'm not privy of the strategic plans or direction behind it, but I think that's like, from my perspective, I think that claim is a bit faulty from the perspective. I think strongly. Like, I think rather than him saying he's now big three, there's no big three, is now big four. I think personally it's about time that we launched, or we have the new big three.
Like new big three, yeah.
I think fair to say he's one. He has a claim, in that proverbial, three people being on the throne. I think he's earned one spot, right? But what I think right now is, I mean, for a long period we had the Banj, Two-Face, and maybe P Square as the big three, in that era. Then I think from about 20, in the turn of like the new decade or whatever, like 2010 or whatever, then there was like a transition. The guard of honor was, passed on to like the new generation.
Yeah,
so I think it's a bit of I think it's such a problem when the big three are already, pushing 40. So I think it's about time. Fairly so, the big three is pushing 40.
Not you try to throw the big
I'm not,
three.
no, I'm not, no. In no way, I'm
the big
saying
three are pushing 40 now.
No.
But I get it.
You get me, right? So I'm saying, I feel like culture is really on the shoulders of the youth. Is on the shoulders of like what I'll call like the 20s. That's the period where I think they own culture. That generation owns culture. So when we have men who have literally done phenomenal work for the industry, taking us from where it used to be to where it is now, I feel like it's about time for for a new generation to really rise, and really own that space. I guess what I'm really saying with this is, what do you think is the challenge or the problem in terms of artists transitioning from that B list or from that second tier into like the real throne? What's the challenge? What's the period? And a lot of people saying that we're not creating more stars, we're not creating new stars. What's really going on?
That's not true. So first off, you mentioned the era before 2010,
of
where
course,
like there was the Banj and and Bandy Cole and all this, and Two-Face DB are doing amazing work.
Yeah.
But one thing that we did not notice at that time is there was no conversation about who was top. We don't have that camaraderie.
All right. So this whole big three thing, you think is more
it's
contemporary?
It's not true. It doesn't exist to me, because I could go on and on about other artists that deserve to, to be in that lane. That
it's subjective,
that are not
very
there.
actually.
Yeah. So it doesn't exist to me. But I hear it for Rema, and if you're trying to get in the forefront of a conversation, because talking from an industry perspective, Rema is not just doing a lot for the culture, but he's also doing a lot for the new generation of artists that are coming out. He's that guy.
Yeah.
He supports. He's
100%.
He has not placed himself on a certain pedestal that was not being accessible to
100%.
to that league, and everyone can testify to. If you're an industry person, you know that Rema is very
100%,
very welcoming.
100%.
So Rema is not. No disrespect to the big three, but Rema doesn't place himself like that. You get what I'm trying to say?
I guess that's where I'm coming from. I think it's not in that conversation. I think there's a different conversation that he needs to start having.
So now, before you start that conversation, you need to still you need to kick the door open and get into the room. So what Rema is doing with the Big Four, to be honest, I'm very sure he doesn't really care about that Big Four, because Rema is him. He's
Rema
that guy.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say I think is somewhat a disservice.
Trust
to
me,
what he's
he
doing,
does not care.
saying he's number 4.
Trust me, he does not
Fair.
He's just trying to get into the room, get the attention.
Get in the
I don't even
conversation.
think that he's even trying to get the conversation. But controversy and it's what they say about conspiracy. Conspiracy thrives. So man is just cooking. It's just agenda. But he knows himself. He just dropped today.
The Kilibu song.
Fire. That's gonna scatter everywhere.
Banger.
You get what I'm trying to say?
Which is my point. I feel like Rema is in a different world of his.
Fact.
So I feel like going to go and join a queue as number 4. I think personally, is like it's
Rema is trying to kick the door open, and
open.
That thing that you're saying about creating, the league for the next generation. That's what Rema is doing. The Benin Boys and them, Rema Shalipopi and Zeri Dio.
That was a statement.
That was very intentional.
That was a statement.
It was a statement in itself.
Absolutely.
He clearly knows what he's doing, and
Absolutely.
I'm very sure that in the coming months, we're going to still see a lot
Yeah, I
from
think a
Rema
lot is
representing the
unfolding.
culture. So
100%.
he's, to me, I feel like he's the guy that came to save this league. But like he just, all of this is just putting himself in that conversation. You
Yeah.
understand? It's not that he's queuing. He's in a league of his own. And I'm sure the big three, they also recognize that
100%.
that Rema is moving weight too. Look at
100%.
him shutting down Aqua Arena.
Literally.
You know that well,
From Asia to Europe to America, it's literally a global
get, like,
it's global.
so it's not even a conversation. So he's not trying to queue. He was just cooking. So shout out to
Yeah,
Rema
I think
for
I think it's
cooking.
it's obviously like it's a creative approach.
Yes,
Obviously, yeah. So
that is
yeah,
it,
I mean,
that is
I think
it.
again, like I said, I think I'm only just establishing or I'm presenting a conversation,
Yeah.
a case for Rema being one of one.
One of one. Facts.
Rema is one of one,
Facts.
right?
But like I'm very sure that in the coming years, that conversation would not be even in space. We'll go back to basics. We will have an industry where everyone is supporting each other. If you look at the new generation you're talking about, and you look at their relationship, you know that they always run away from any conversation that sprouts up with.
Is that good for the culture?
Right.
Because I feel like personally, I feel like what made amongst million other factors, right? What made Wizkid, Burna, and David become what they are today, amongst a million other factors, is that competitive sportsmanship that they had between them. It's like, oh, okay, he's put out an album. I need to also make my album as good or a lot better. Oh, he's done that. Oh, he's done the O2. I'm going to do the O3. He's done that. I'm going to do this. I feel like that competitive sportsmanship they had between them, I feel like it helped drive their advancement in their respective careers. So do you think this, we are family, we are one, we
I'm
are
not talking about
brothers?
love and
Do you
light.
think that do you think love and light is good for the culture ultimately?
I'm not talking about. So I wasn't even talking about love. Love and light is love, and I believe in respect individuals, like you respecting your colleagues' work. You understand?
Fair. Yeah.
I think that with the big three, I think it became somewhat toxic. You get like it moved from being competitive to, you know, there are a lot of things that have happened in the culture that you're asking yourself, is this progressive?
Which is what I'm asking,
You
right?
know,
Is that competitiveness, the standship,
The,
culture and all of that?
the competition is
Yeah.
is forward. It's very forward for the culture, but like the way the standship culture is very toxic.
I think
in
I
Nigeria.
think it's a double-edged sword. It's as good as it could also present some challenges as well.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that amongst the new generation of artists that come out, do you think that people don't still compare them? You see,
Yeah,
what
they do.
you, what
They
you
do.
don't,
I feel like they do, and they somewhat run away from it. They don't own it.
that is it. So what you don't water will grow.
Mm.
So in the big three conversation, these guys are OGs, but I believe at some point in their careers, they didn't do well by they should have been dismissive of all of that, even if they had like personal sentiment.
I beg to differ, man.
We're not talking about rap. We're talking about African Nigerian music. You know,
I beg to differ.
when you talk about like rap and all of that, beef is standard. Is what makes the culture thrive.
I don't see it as beef. I see it as competitive.
It is beef, bro.
It's a sport.
It is beef, bro. There's no how, because like you're on social media space. You see everything that is going on. I mean, even David has come out to say that some of this township stuff has actually put some holes in some of the things.
So you
that he
believe
has
love
done.
and light is good for the culture?
I believe that I believe there should be some sort of camaraderie, because now we are Nigerians, we are Africans, we are living in London now.
Yeah.
And when I look at how we all need to collaborate, I used to say, one of my bosses used to say, the fight is not between us, the fight is outside there. You get all these things that are happening now have happened in the past 6 months.
Yeah.
That's pushed the culture forward. Issa Sika once said something. He said, imagine a situation where David, Wizkid, and Burna did a collab.
I think it will still happen.
Probably.
I think that'll be the final.
But
That'll be the final dance.
That's it.
That'll
That's
be
an
the last
artist.
dance.
That's an artist manager's understanding the importance of how
Yeah, we're
there's still
stronger
so
together.
much to
Yeah,
be done.
100%.
Yeah, this does not mean, and this is not in the absence of personal issues.
Yeah.
This is work. I do not see showbiz as something that we wake up in the morning and we say, oh, let's go and vibe. I see it as a job, as you get. This is your grind.
Yeah, at the same time, like Nike and Adidas, like you're not gonna say, Nike makes Adidas as good as Adidas makes Nike. Coke makes Pepsi as good as Pepsi makes Coke.
But that's not the case with our stanship culture. The stanship culture in Nigeria is to if one sect decides to ruin another sect, they would go to any length.
Isn't that a reflection of the people though, as opposed to like the industry or the artists themselves?
It's like I said, what you don't water will grow. They know, they know what these guys are capable of. I saw one interview, and I like when it's not like it's an opinion that I'm just coming up. I've seen interviews where these guys are saying this. David has said it one time that something was happening, and he had to tell them, "You guys you should not comment," because he knows when there's silence, there's agreement. They cannot say that they don't know the communities that are rooting for them. You understand? When there's silence, there's agreement. At one point, they would love it. They would love how it's going until when they're on the receiving end. And that's why it still goes back to the fact that human beings are human. Human beings are selfish.
100%.
You get?
I've having spoken just
Yeah.
brilliantly about the whole like stan culture and toxic
Yeah.
culture. I'm just gonna touch quickly on farming, the agricultural music industry.
You said agricultural music industry.
What's your take on this? I mean, recently we had this back and forth with
Yeah.
Black Bones,
And Odumodu Black.
Odumodu, and the likes. This back and forth. Oh, you're a farmer, you're farming. What's your, as an A&R or from an A&R perspective, from a music journalist perspective, what's your perspective on this? Is it real? Is it a myth? And what's the implication, if at all there is, on the culture generally?
There's never been a time in the history of Nigerian music or Afrobeats. Oh, I'll correct myself. Since the advent of streaming and when Nigerians understood the importance, or when Nigerian artists
Yeah.
understood the importance of streaming and how the numbers can overall affect, your trajectory as an artist.
Of course.
There's never been a time that there have not been stream farming.
Is it?
Yes. What just happened was that
What's stream farming though?
the stream farming comes in different ways. It can come from people intentionally, or a group of people intentionally coming together to make sure that they work against the algorithm of streaming to improve the numbers. And people do it in different ways. I'm not going to come and start talking about how people stream, but like it's just trying to beat the system in an illegal way. Some sort
Illegal,
of,
okay.
yeah, in an illegal way. It's not, you're not doing the right thing.
Of
That's
course.
not how music is supposed to be. The way you are listening to the music, that was not the purpose for creating these platforms. You get, so people are trying to beat the
So
system.
why do you think artists do it? Is it for cultural impact? Is it for clout, or is it just for do you just need those numbers to validate popularity or growth, or what do you think is what's the underlying factor driving this? Because like every other person is accusing every other person now of engaging in this practice.
I think all the reasons that you mentioned are valid why they would do that. A lot of people do it for their ego. There was a time in Nigeria where the Apple 100 was the holy grail of your success, or it was a yardstick for your success as a Nigerian artist.
Yeah, those are the
which
times.
is very wrong. There was a time like that, or top 1 or top 5.
Yeah, that was like the holy grail.
That
That's what
defeated the
everyone
purpose
aspires
of
to.
creating music, because
Yeah.
if that's what you're creating music for, then you are definitely one of those stream farmers. You can't tell me anything. You get because there are artists that are doing amazing. Shout out to SDC. I'll forever say that Show Them
Bang,
Camp,
bang.
they hold a very special place in my heart.
Bang, bang,
And this is because they understand the true importance of creating music. And also, I used to say that they are one of the biggest A&Rs that have walked the face of the Nigerian music space.
Talk about
because,
it.
because look at all the artists that have gone on to do amazing
Yeah,
things.
the
They've
Palm
had
music.
an SDC feature before. Because SDC saw what they did not even see in
SDC
themselves. And
Thames,
that,
SDC,
SDC
Po,
Victoni, SDC Oxy, SDC
SDC,
everyone, man.
Literally.
You get what I'm trying to say.
Literally.
SDC Burna Boy, let's talk about that. Yes.
Which was that one?
They have a feature together.
See,
Back
I
in the
think
days.
I think I've got the whole of SDC discography in the palm of my hands. When you say SDC Burna Boy,
There's an
I'm trying to-
SDC
I'm trying
Burna
to-
Boy
I'm trying to-
track.
I'm trying to-
Just
I'm trying
look through it. Remember,
There has to be. There
it's
definitely
there.
would be.
I've listened to it before. Yeah,
There definitely would
it's
be.
just coming to my head.
Likewise.
But like yes, from Clone Wars to Primary Music, these
Yeah.
guys have been pushing the culture. So, as I said, if you see an artist that the first cue to catch a stream farmer for me is if you see an artist PR or rollout for a song or an album, and a good number of the content that is being put out by the team is very centered on the numbers. This is not to say that you do not celebrate your numbers,
Yeah.
but there are some people that they are not creative with how their rollouts are. They are more particular about in number 1 in 3 days, number 30 in 5 days.
So when you can't match the rollout with the output,
There's
there
something
could be
there. Something
agriculture
is,
was involved.
something is involved. There was
Someone
some
was farming.
farming. You know,
Interesting, interesting.
That's my own hot
interesting,
take on
interesting.
how I feel like if you want to spot, we should do a class how to spot shrimp farmers 101.
Absolutely. I think that's
we're
something
gonna do that.
that's something that'll be very interesting.
You know?
So now from again, I mean you host Afroverse on BFM, which
Yeah,
is
the
a
Beat
fantastic
London.
show, by the way.
Thank you so much, bro.
Brilliant show. I mean, again, you are at the back end and at the forefront of the culture.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people are saying Afrobeat is not hitting the same. Afrobeat is not like what it used to be. You know, the culture is even the kind of like records that we're having now, it's like, it's like a copy of the next copy of the next copy. A lot of like the sauce that Afrobeat used to have now, the sauce has been replaced, with a lot of Western elements, a lot of R&B elements. The tempo has changed.
Yeah.
Rema is trying to fast track the tempo. What's
Increase
going
the
on?
BPM.
What's going on with the culture? Will you say Afrobeat is in a good place, or will you say Afrobeat is evolving? What's your take on where the culture is at? The soundscape of the culture. What's your take on it?
If we go to the soundscape of the culture, I think Afrobeat is doing what Afrobeat is supposed to do. Because my understanding of Afrobeat is there's no, as much as there's the log drums and all of that, there's no original blueprint to how Afrobeat should sound.
I kind of disagree.
Wait, I'm getting there. Reason why I said so is because I'm not talking about Afrobeat. I'm talking about Afrobeats with the S. The S there is for let us do a madness. Let us fuse everything we are going to fuse. Obviously, there's always a signifier of what a genre should. There's always one thing. If you listen to soca, you already know that it's soca because
what's the blueprint then for Afrobeat?
It's the drums. It's the
what would you say? So if like a person is just coming onto Afrobeats now, what would you say is the DNA of Afrobeats?
First off, the
one
first
record.
Thing, what?
One record that you say this is the prototype.
No, I can't.
Two.
There's no.
Okay, album.
We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that because you know why I said that? Because everybody has their expression of what they think Afrobeats with. I can only talk about the signifiers, and that's the drums.
Okay.
Number one, and even down to the lyrics. You understand? You're not expecting to hear any very, very smooth play on words writing on Afrobeats. It is the rhythms, the melodies, the drums. That's what makes Afrobeat stand out. You understand? The lingua, of course, because it's African, you get. But like, so that's why Bien from South to Soul can do Afrobeat. That is why Shatawale can decide to switch. Because Shatawale is more on the patois, but reggae dance. But he can decide to switch. Any African artist can do Afrobeat. That's
so
the
must
truth.
you, is he an ethnic or is it a racial or what's, because now you say any African artist, is there a monopoly or is there like
No.
exclusion of
because I said any Africa, obviously for every genre I cannot the first person that has the right of actually doing a genre is the people that is the culture you get.
Of course, yeah.
This does not mean that other people are not experiencing it, which I don't know. I'm two-sided on that. I don't like when just my opinion, because I really just want us to keep it within ourselves. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But like there are signifiers to what the sound should, sound like. So when you talked about like soundscape, I think Afrobeat is doing what it's supposed to do. As long as those signifiers are still present, you get, whether they fuse it with, with the Indian drums or they fuse it with, the sound is still the sound, Let's give Kelebu as an example. Kelebu is Afrobeat. Kelebu is fusing, I don't know if you know the Coupé de Calais vibe.
Yeah.
And you get, it's still African music, you get. But it's still there. You can still hear the elements there. You cannot call that another genre. You understand? That's just like next level stuff. And that's what we are open to. That's what we want to see. There's a song now that I think there's a recent release by what's his name? Tiakola and Ashake. It's called Badman Gangster.
Of course,
You get
that had like a sample of
Amari's 2005
Amari,
hit. One Thing. You understand? Produced by P Prime. You get. In that song now, what makes it Afrobeats is Ashake's lingua. You understand? So there will always be signifiers. You get. You cannot still remove that from Afrobeat. So if it's not the lingua, it's the
It's the
drums. You
drums.
get, there will always be something that would stand, because how many people understand Yoruba? You get, how many people? Yeah, so it's the same thing. Tiakola speaks French.
Yeah.
You get, but like, would you remove that? Would you remove that song out of the class of Afrobeat? So I just believe that everyone has different expressions to what they understand Afrobeat to. As long as you do not lose, there's a sauce. For every dish, there's always a recipe. As long as the sauce is still present, let's go. Let's get there.
Brilliant perspective. Brilliant perspective. And again, I mean, just also, considering the point you've just raised now,
Yeah.
there was a recent interview that I think it was Buju Banton, the Jamaican
Yeah.
reggae artist.
How recent is this? Because I know that guy has said a lot.
Okay.
How
Depending on how recent and when this conversation will be viewed
Yeah,
by.
yeah.
But I mean, there have always been conversation regarding
Yeah.
what I'm about to to express about Afrobeats. That has to be emphasized.
Now you're saying Afrobeats now.
Afro. No, I mean it has to be emphasized because
Yeah,
we're still gonna
very
touch on that,
important,
right?
very important.
Afrobeats doesn't have substance. This commentary, always is always trilling, the conversation around Afrobeats.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your take on this?
Conscious music is conscious music. For every song, there's always going to be a theme. For every album, for every project, there's always going to be a theme.
So for the genre,
So I think it's blasphemy to just generalize a genre and just say it does not have substance. Because there's fouls dropping albums that is a blend of the
Moral
lessons
instructions.
there, moral instruction, and it's still a vibe.
Yeah.
You understand? So I think that's just someone trying to shit on the genre. You understand? That's just beef. You get what I'm trying to say? It's very clear. You cannot say, even Burna Boy that talked about substance has retracted his statement. I know that there was
Yeah.
because you can't, because Burna Boy has an album. In the album, he doesn't just leave it as just you go dance.
Of
You
course,
understand?
yeah.
He touches on other things. So I think that it's the artist's perspective. You can't police how people are going to express themselves.
Of course.
If I'm trying to do an album and I say it's a blend of different things, you will learn, you will listen. I will tell you about some things on pressing issues, but I'll still tell you, go and shake your hand somewhere. You understand? I can be that. I can be anything. So, Buju Banton, you want to do conscious music, do your conscious music. Respect to you. But leave people. Do not police how people are expressing themselves or expressing the sound.
Yeah.
That's what is artistic ingenuity, or is it artistic I think it's along the lines of that.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility. So that's just someone just dropping a hot take. That's my response to that.
Brilliant take as well. I mean, brilliant and hot take that you've also
What?
dropped regarding the hot take. That's a hot take. Regarding the hot take that
Yeah.
I've just shared now. I mean, again, there's also like a conversation around up and coming artists saying, oh, there are cliques in the industry. There are there are gatekeepers. There are certain people who who police the industry. They don't give access to these people. Or before to launch an Afrobeat artist now, you need about 100K dolls. So what's the hope of an aspiring artist, a creative who's come from a humble background? Would you say there's still accessibility, or what are the pathways, or what's the strategy that you think such an artist can explore? Someone who who's dreaming, I could be the next Davido, I could be the next the next Rema, but I don't have these resources. What are the options as an A&R that you recommend for such an artist?
So
Is
I'm
there
here
still
to-
space?
Of course, there's still space. So, just to say it again, like we always say, there is no formula to this blue thing. There's never been a formula. Whatever you are seeing is as a result of trial and errors.
Of course.
Even your big record labels have invested money in things and it has gone to the ground.
Yeah.
They won't come out to tell you, but they have. They've invested in talents, and so there's no formula. That someone even has one potential, and maybe an A&R or someone spotted them and felt it's not a prerequisite for the artist actually shooting through the roof, because they might get into an agreement now, start putting out music, and that source is not still there. You get, like, so there is no formula to this blow thing, but there is hope, and the hope is the digital age.
Talk about it.
The hope is the fact that you can be in your house and you're creating, and you can get a call that will change your life because someone randomly came across your video on their explore page. The hope is the fact that people are actually surfing social media. People see all your faves. As much as they always claim to be busy, trust me, they see everything. They see. Don't let anybody lie to you. 2 seconds, 30 minutes, just looking. You want to press your phone. You're surfing through the internet.
I'd have to agree
What
with
puts
you.
you in the faces of people is your consistency.
After, because recently I saw, I think I was on maybe Adekunle Gold's page,
Yeah.
on his Instagram. I was just scrolling through, and I saw in the comment section, some person said, "Oh, Baba, I'm an aspiring artist. I would like be like you, Baba. Just check my song. It makes sense,
Yeah.
It's blah 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 blah."
Yeah.
Then I typed on this person's page, and I saw 2 posts. And one of the posts was it just a post of him, showing his clothing, and the other post was, I think, very random. And I felt compelled, and I went back to it and I replied, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say what I replied, but you can I'll leave the rest
Don't
to your
worry, DJ. I
imagination.
know the kind of response that
I'll leave it to your imagination.
Yeah, I do,
So
I
for
do.
such a person,
Yeah.
I mean, I think this advice would be a good advice to such a person who feel like a lot of aspiring artists feel like, established artists are obligated, to help them, as opposed to, show your value, and, hopefully someone will tap into that. And I think that's a very good advice you gave, that just put out your content, be consistent with it.
But look at me in working on radio, and you know how many DMs I get from people. And at this point now, I've even stopped like checking out things, because I'm just one person. How many people can I listen to their music and put them on? You get? And when you go to their platforms and you check, they're not doing anything for themselves. It's a waste of opportunity. So as much as I feel compelled and obliged to push the culture forward, as an African broadcast journalist, I still feel like people need to, every opportunity that I've gotten in my life, I earned it. I wasn't entitled. There's never a time in my life where I felt you should give it to me because of this. So I feel like you need to understand that you have a lot of work to do than the person that you're even talking to.
Wow.
You need to give people a reason to want to do things for you. You need to give people a reason to want to put you on. There are no handouts on the streets. No handouts. You have to work for it. Don Jazzy once said that if he goes through your Insta, I think it wasn't Don Jazzy. It was DJ Big N saying that, do you know that Don Jazzy, when he goes through, people say, if he sees that you're on private, he doesn't even have any business with you, because what are you looking for? You're an artist, you're trying to sell yourself, and you're going on private. Who's going to be clicking on? Or it comes to your page, like you said, and see one post. What are you looking for? Misplaced priorities. So I don't even waste time these days. Like, I just need to already know, to be honest, and I'm more particular about people that are putting themselves out there. I'm not going to give you an opportunity because I feel like, oh, there's something. Even if you are a gem in the rough, you need to have discipline. You understand? Because your discipline that will take you. Everybody's seeing our star now, and they're seeing our work rate.
Yeah.
That girl's work rate has started from
Way
beginning.
back, from time.
If anything, it has heightened. But now I've had the opportunity to work with her. I worked with her for our Vivo UK performance. I was in 1 or 2 rehearsal sessions with her, and I tell you that she does not joke with her work. Like, she's like, let's run it back. It don't mean that I'm not the artist. I'm like, where are we going home? You get what I'm trying to say? Because she knows the importance of the work that she does. And that's why I keep on telling people, if you're working in showbiz, yes, it's a passion industry. It's an industry that every industry is an industry built on passion. Like, people love what they do.
Yeah.
But take it as your life depends on it. This is your means of livelihood.
Yeah.
If artists and music execs and everyone in the space start looking at their jobs more as this is a means of livelihood, it's all in or nothing, a lot of issues will be avoided. A lot of controversies that come up from someone doing something and their team members didn't know it, a lot of it will be avoided. But everybody's running on vibes now in this space now. So my issue with the Afrobeats culture now is not just to artists. I think that music execs need to do better.
Talk about it.
I think music execs need to understand that where we are in the United Kingdom, in London, if you see the way they carry their work, you know that you need to do better.
Absolutely.
I think we need to go beyond, oh, the job is cool, I get access and I'm in the club here and there too. We need to take this work to the next level. We need to build relationships. What are you doing for your artist outside just managing his day to day?
So what's the next level?
You need to step up. Stepping up also means educate yourself.
Education.
A lot of talent managers do not know a lot about their job.
Wow.
They've kind of restricted the work that they do to just what the artist tells them to do. They're not going out of their comfort zone to see what can I do for this? And what can I do for this artist is not just telling someone, oh, this guy is my artist, I think you should listen to him. No. I know. I'll give you a simple example. This your artist, he's doing this particular genre. Okay, he's on the come up. He has not hit it big. But there are other opportunities that this artist can access. Have you thought about sync license opportunities for even the songs that the artist has released that has not gone viral?
Yeah.
There are other ways to make money for your talent than just hitting
Waiting
it
for
big
shows and
on
stuff.
I'm waiting for shows. How many talents are looking at the art? How many talents? How many artists, artist managers or music execs are looking at the talents they are working with and saying, how can I exploit this talent, the talents, the other gifts or the other sides to this talent that nobody knows? How can I use it to any means of livelihood for this talent?
Yeah. Good perspective. I think that's something to really ponder on. And I think that's also something for, like you said, for music, aside just the artists, also for
Yeah.
music execs to also,
Yeah.
consider that, in their respective, roles and
Yeah.
responsibilities. I mean, you mentioned earlier now that, obviously with your very brilliant show, Afroverse on
Yeah.
BFM, that a lot of artists, just reach out, wanting you to probably play their records or want to
Yeah.
get visibility. What would you say? I mean, we're in an age now, a digital age, where most people consume most of their content, on social media, on the TikToks and the Instagram and the likes. What would you say is the role of radio in this ecosystem? Is it still something? Are people still? Is that still a viable vehicle to getting visibility?
Of course, there's, according to, from what I understand from like PR and understand from marketing,
Yeah.
every channel will always remain a channel, even if it's appealing to 10 people.
Yeah.
Every channel will always remain a channel, because if you've gone on to social media and you didn't get the response that you wanted for the song, and there are 10 people that listen to your song on radio,
Yeah.
and they, excuse my friend, they fuck with the sound,
Yeah.
bro, that's already your community. Your followership has started from there. The people that say, oh, I listened to your song on the Beat London 103.6 FM, and I had to go and find you on social media. Imagine those 10 people that just listen to you on radio converting to your followership. Followership that you didn't have after you've posted like 50 videos on Instagram. So no channel. Me, I'm not big on like the like a large number of people,
Yeah.
fucking what I do. I'm more particular about, I want to have people that, if these 20 people love what I do and they're with me, I will stay with them and build with them. That's what made SDC stand out.
100%.
Show them camp.
They-
It's a cult following, you understand?
They build their community
from the
brick
scratch,
by
brick by brick. You get what I'm
literally.
trying to say?
Yeah.
So there's no channel that's faced that. And also, thank God that even these stations, TV, radio, they've tapped into the importance of social media.
Of course.
So like the Beat London now, apart from the radio frequency where you can tune in, you can listen to
Stream
it
it
on
live.
any digital audio broadcasting app. You get, so everything is still in sync. But like traditional marketing, traditional radio, traditional marketing, traditional media in general, you understand, print, radio, TV, will never phase out, because a channel is a channel, as I said.
Brilliant perspective.
Yeah.
So for an aspiring artist again, because I'm really like, again, just still speaking to the theme of,
Yeah.
black creatives are winning. I
Yeah.
think that's the goal, that's the aspiration, irrespective of how we look at it.
Yeah.
So for an aspiring artist who is probably like a young person from, some remote part of, Africa or wherever in the world, who's like, okay, I can't reach out to my own TEEJAY Ameen. I can't reach out. I can't have like an A&R in my corner.
Yeah.
I don't have the resources. I don't have the several thousands of dollars that it requires to do promo these days.
Yeah.
What's the pathway to, to establishing yourself as an artist and, growing your career? What would you recommend are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps? Like what's the play to blow today?
I remember just mentioning that there's supposed to be a play because people think there is, but the truth is that there is none. I think the play there is just showing up.
What does that look like?
Showing up means even on the days that you don't want to put out that video, even when you're scared that you're going to get rejection, even when you're scared that you're not going to get one like, put out that video. I see social media not just as a place where you get visibility. I also see social media as a place where you are creating like a digital footprint. So if you post 16 videos today and you don't get one like, the day you are going to get a viral moment, people are going to go back to those 16
All of
videos,
those videos.
and that's going to validate your talent. It would not just be like you just walked into the space. It's going to be, this guy has been pushing for long and his moment finally came. For every artist that you see out there now that is big, all they did, the most important part of what they did was show up. They say, now we they throw dice.
Now
Now
God, they
only
give
God
double
they pick
six.
the 6.
Yeah.
You get, and it's the same for everything. Even as an A&R and a talent exec, I have things I want in my life too. But what has kept me going is I just show up, because you never know. You never know. People say someone is lucky, but people have also said luck is when preparedness meets opportunity. But the key word there is preparedness. You need to be prepared. You're praying to God for something. You need to be prepared for the things that you pray for.
100%.
You will do your part as a human being. I think that artists need to understand that you need to do your part. And like I keep on mentioning, there are no handouts. You need to do your part. You understand? You do your part, and then you leave the rest. And not a lot of people are religious, but there's time and chance too. If you're trying to go basic, there's time and chance.
100%.
There will be a time when, and you can miss that time slot. You can miss it because it doesn't come like this is the opportunity. When your opportunity comes, it won't come like, this is the opportunity to grab it.
Yeah.
It can even be like this. It can be very shaky. You don't even know, but one thing is going to happen, and that one thing you did 3 years ago is going to be the thing that will put you in that room.
100%.
So you never even know what the opportunity is going to look like. You just hope that it's going to happen. But you don't just hope. You've done the work. You've laid the foundation. You've prepared yourself. So I wake up every day like my life is going to change the next minute. It's not because I know what's going to happen.
It's a beautiful perspective.
But it's because I just keep on sowing. You get like, I don't know. Like,
I mean,
you get like, nobody knows these things.
With all you said, I think it's not surprised that you're winning. And all the advice that you've given, I'm quite sure, if there's an aspiring artist here, who's watching this and taking all this on board, I think I'm quite confident that indeed Black creatives are winning.
That's it, my
and there's
bro.
no better way to end that conversation.
That's it, my bro.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Ameen.
Thank you,
It's
man.
always a delight, man. Thank you
Pleasure,
very
man.
much.
Thank you.